So welcome back to Red Fox Classics, where we're working again on the accident damaged Herald 1360. Last time we got through most of the repairs that were needed on the right hand rear of the car, and then did a patch to the rear left hand wheel arch. So now we're going to go and tackle one of the bits I've been putting off a little bit, which is the rear right hand light housing, which is running through all down down between the layers of the outer inner wing and where the light is. So let's pick up where we left off. So I decided what I'm going to try and do is cut down the corner and weld it on the corner. So most of that, I can get to that mostly on the inside except for here, but I can also, once I've got the outer bit put back in, I'm going to be cutting this inner bit out, so I'll be able to get to the other side a bit from here as well. So that's going to be my first try, because that's a curve, that's a curve. So I don't have any means of trying to make a non-straight bend. I could possibly manage to do this one, but I don't know how I would manage to do that one. So I'm going to try just make a bit like this, pretty similar to the outer edge, and see how that turns out. So what I'm going to do here is just put a bend and a bend back over the edge of the brake, and then that should give us that basically thick joggled edge. Right, so I've got that cut out. You see this inner bit very much needs replacing too, and that will sit in there. Obviously needs some trimming to fit in, but the grinding is going to be awkward, but otherwise it should be fairly straightforward. And then I'm going to keep probably this much, the inner bit, just to give me the two edges to line up with. And that this is actually solid. It's like there. That's where it starts to be full of holes. I also crawled in here and done that lip, and it's made me decide I'm just going to get the repair panel and then see what it's like. But I'm not going to be able to repair the wing from inside. Well, that was difficult. Covered in splatter, and nothing wants to weld because it's all full of undersealy stuff or whatever it is. So it's going to be best off taking this out. And also, I can actually see that someone's done it's already had a lip replacement in there, but there's nothing behind it. First time it comes off. So hopefully that won't take too long to come. Okay, so I have got this trimmed and pretty well fitted. So I'm keeping that and that, just the edges of this inner section. So I'm going to get those cleaned up, back of everything primed, and I'll probably weld it tomorrow. Okay, so time to get this in. It's all well through primed, as is the other side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this at least tacked at, in quite a few places, so it's all well lined up and, importantly, shaped to match my sweep, which means it needs to push in a little bit at the centre. And when that's at least tacked, I'm going to cut out the rest of this section, and it's going to have to go extend into this part of the light housing too, and get that built. So that's going to be mostly going to be fairly easy, but it's going to require bend. So this bit is nothing straight. This whole car is not because it shouldn't be straight. Sorry, not because it should be straight, but because the lovely sweeping lines and flowing curves and all that. It just makes it really difficult to repair. Anyway, so what I think I'm going to do there is cut a bit, make an angle, little bit of shrink to form that curve, and then set it in. And I'll probably form this lip in place, but we shall see. Anyway, let's get this in first. Okay, so that is doing fine. I am going to now build this inner piece. Then I can weld them all together as one thing. So I got my strip cut and bent and my sweep for the inner edge of the light. So what we've got to do now is actually make that profile. Do you see? It's just a little bit of a gentle curve. So I'm going to do this with my cheap, crappy shrinker. If you've not seen one of these before, what it does is that action pinches the metal together, so it shrinks it. It kind of bunches up along that edge. You end up with that curve form. So let's get this the right way around. That. And as you see, you can actually get quite a lot of the bend quite quickly. So that's fine for the top end, but then the lower end, I need to be more careful with. Which this thing makes easy for me because the jaws try and fall off. There we are. Yeah, a little bit more. Just go and see how it lines up. It lines up well enough that I'm going to start cutting holes in the car. So yeah, I think that is going to fit in there quite nicely. Now, the first job is I'm going to weld up that corner in from the inside, just to give myself a bit of extra strength. I'm going to be able to do the same there, but probably once all the pieces are in. Then yeah, I'm going to need to reprime stuff and possibly get that tidied back and start getting it in. Okay, so I got this tacked in last night on both the inner and outer edges, or outer and inner, as we just looked at. and I didn't want to get the compressor charged up, so I didn't clean this up properly. So I was only able to get some tacks in. But anyway, it is looking in good shape, so I'm going to go ahead and get that cleaned up and then welded in. I also got a wheel arch lip, which it bears a passing resemblance to the panel on the car. You'd be in trouble if you were trying to fit the whole thing there, because you make it line up alright at the front, and then it doesn't fit at the back or the bottom. But I don't need those bits, so it is going to save me a bit of time. Anyway, let's get the corner done. Well, there is that welded in. It's not gone the best. You can see this, I've had, what's the word? Inclusion of crap. I thought I cleaned enough off, but this black undersealy stuff just keeps melting out of places and causing trouble. Anyway, I'll get this ground down, and I'll probably have to do a bit more welding, and the cycle repeats till it's alright. But I think first I'm going to do these, and then turn this lip over. Now it looks like, I deliberately left exactly the right amount. I just got very lucky that I didn't cut it too short. I think I'm going to be able to sort of stick the grinding disc in the corner here and kind of tidy up that edge, but we'll see. So this is where I've got to today. So this is alright, I think. It's going to want a bit of a fill down the edge, but for where it is and how awkward that was, that's alright. I'm quite pleased with that. This needs a bit more, because obviously the light unit needs to sit in here. There is a foam behind the light unit, but I want this to get this as flat as I can. And there's a couple of little holes that need doing, and over here as well, I've seen. Well, job for tomorrow for me. Well, that is now finished. So the work involved mostly been grinding, and it's not super smooth, but it is in the boot aperture, and it can have a little bit of a fill over it. I'm sure that'll be fine. This is all, I've lit this over using hammer and dolly. I've got some plug welds coming through on that side. I should have a little take the tops off. Anyway, there's gonna be trim over there. Boot lid will be on it. I won't know. Though, I should check that a light and the boot will still go in. Now this is the cowl that got hit, so I'm expecting some manipulation of this might happen. But anyway, the boot did go in that space before, even with the car being bent, so I'm just going to check it still does. Now well, it looks a little bit like a car, doesn't it? So the light fits in, and there's plenty of adjustment room to get it in the centre, and there's room down there for the boot. I was going to say, if anything, it's slightly improved, but it will be, because this bit of metal will have swollen because of the rot. Anyway, I'll put away again, and then it'll be time to start on this wheel arch. Okay, let's look at this wheel arch. Now, I bought this repair panel. I didn't have very high hopes, but I thought it would probably save me some time. And I still think it will save me some time, but if you had to replace the whole wheel arch, it's really a rather different shape. I mean, it ends higher than the actual wing. It doesn't really have the right shape all the way along. That bit there, we've carefully measured that shape off the original wing. It doesn't match that. But anyway, I only want like that bit, and that bit actually is alright. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and lop off. Am I going to cut the car first? I think I am, because I don't know for sure that where I think I'm going to be able to repair to and from is going to be, I'm I might cut this off and find some more rot in the inner wheel arch that I hadn't been able to identify, and then I might need more of that arch, replacement arch. So I am going to go with Matt there to there. Also trying my best to keep it as intact as possible in case it needs to go back. Okay, so this was the right move. There's no lip left on this, except for sort of here where it kind of turns into being a more enclosed structure. But there's just no lip left on it, so you know the actual shape of the edge is still there, which is quite nice because it means you can just make this. It's going to be a tiny repair. Stretch it so we get the nice curve. Fit it in, and then it's going to be a very short. I'm going to cut the most minimal amount off of this wheel arch, and I think I'm going to be able to do it. Difficult thing is going to be if you see all this black. That's the tarry sealant that's between the two panels beforehand. I managed to sort of pick some of it out, but get it all out from behind here, I don't know how I might do that. I might definitely melt, so maybe I'll just heat it up and let it all run off first. Yeah, I'm going to give that a go before I do anything else, because there's going to be no point in cleaning this, cleaning anything else and then dripping tar all over it. So I'm just going to hit this with a heat gun and see what happens. It's pretty nasty. I managed to get out of this wing. I'd probably telling us why it hasn't rusted more though, because I don't imagine it did whoever had to apply it to the factory any good either. Got my mask on. Anyway, let's get to some more conventional cleaning up, and I will get the rust off that inner lip and see about making a new piece. I've got the strip cut, and this is actually the longest or the biggest test of my homemade metal bender. Let's see if we get a straight line. Well, this is the longest piece I've attempted to bend on it so far. It does look like it's got a bit of a blow in the middle. Yeah, it's the tiniest bit of not entirely straightness. Oh well. I think this possibly needs reinforcing more. Anyway, let's get it shaped. Okay, so I've got my arch lip made, and that will go in there. So I've just got a trim to fit, get it in, and then work on the harder part of cutting in a new actual outer arch. And it's been very difficult to get this kind of straight on both faces, so I'm still glad, even if this is a bit rubbish, I'm still glad I bought the outer arch piece, because then I don't have to worry about kind of the same problem, and it actually being all wobbly and on display. Anyway, that's probably going to be a tomorrow job for me. Okay, so I'm getting ready to put this in. I think I'm just going to do this without filming it, and then we'll come back when I start looking at the outer panel, because that's a bit more, well, challenging, I guess. Challenging / interesting. Anyway, well, it's pretty much done, isn't it? Just a bit of fiberglass, something like that, just to stick it on. Right, I'm going to get that done, and I'll see you in a minute. So that's the inner arch tacked. And there we are, that's tacked. So I'm going to do minimal amount of grinding because I don't need to do any more, just to take the tops off and clean it up, then start fitting up the outer wheel arch. Alright, so I've given that a bit of a wire brush, and just a little grind to take the tops off the welds, but it's all going to be behind there. So now I'm going to start fitting this thing that doesn't fit very well. So as you will have picked up, I wasn't planning on using all of it anyway, but it's also, I wouldn't have been able to because it just isn't in right shape. But this bit that I wanted is, and if I'd have had to make it myself, I would have ended up with all of this face marred with shrinker stretcher jaw marks. And this does actually have a little bit of the slight curve that this wheel arch has, so it was still worthwhile. Now this is about where we made that piece to, so I'm just going to lop it off and work with the centre section. That's kind of one of the things I would encourage people to think about with patch panels, is that you don't need all of it necessarily. You know, sometimes, like my Spitfire, when I did that, the door screens were gone, the door shells were gone, so I had to repair those as well. Rear wings were gone. They had like crappy welding all up them, wheel arch lips made of filler, you know, the whole thing needed replacing. In this case, even if I could get a good wing, I would not have replaced it, because, you know, we've only need little bits, and obviously this, you can sort of see down here, this is already done. Anyway, but it keeps the original panel, and you don't have to deal with alignment issues, and anyway, let's start trimming this down so it will fit. Looks like mostly there. It's fitting well against the inner arch there. Oh well, cut it too short, great. Trying to be carefully, and then did that. Idiot. There's nothing I can't do. Trim that off. So now it's going to be a case of slowly working down towards this. Obviously slower than I cut the ends off. So this one I don't feel is going all that super well, but that fit is now acceptable, I think. So I'm gonna get stuff primed and then start welding. Okay, time to get this in. I've just done a little extra trim because I had to go at this dent again, because it's still not there, but you know, I distorted this flange or this edge a little bit. Anyway, I am going to get this in, going to get it tacked, grind them down, check the alignment, so on and so forth, until it's nice. I can't get behind here. I've tried. I can't even get my hand behind here because the wheel arch touches here. So this one might. I'm not going to be able to plunge behind it, so it might not go so great. But anyway, whatever. Still better than rust. Right, so I got that tacked in. I had to keep standing in front of the camera, so stopping filming. Unfortunately, it moved a little, you know, because the weld heats the metal and then shrinks slightly, and it kind of pulled in here. So I did have to go and cut there because I couldn't even attempt to try and relax the weld a bit because I just can't get anything behind here. But other than that, oh yeah, that's a bit low on that side. It's gone in pretty flush. I think I've done what I can. I've done the best I can. But I'm going to grind these all off and then get on and slowly weld it all in. I'm less worried about distorting the panel because we're right. This is also why I wanted to keep this lip so small, because then it puts it right between these two edges, and they're not going to move, or it's very unlikely they're going to move. So that would keep any problem, hopefully, in this area. But I'm still gonna go slow. I'm gonna go as cold as I can, and try and do as good a job as possible. Yeah, but it's gone up and down, definitely. Oh well. It's not like there's not going to have to be filler on here, is there? Well, there we go. Just take the tops off all of those. It's not perfectly lined up. I don't think there's much more I can do now. I mean, I could cut through some of these welds and try and lever it in and out, but I think I'm getting into unnecessary, you know, for what it is, unnecessary amounts of work. This is going to be quite good. It's not going to be quite as good as that corner. So in order to be able to do that, I need to be able to get to the back, and I can't. So anyway, I'm going to get this welded. I'm going to be cooling the welds and jumping around and, you know, making sure I still don't put too much heat in it. And then we might have a quick look, and then I'm going to go around, and that won't be quite the welding done because I'm going to have to go in. So I didn't drill any holes in this because I'm just going to stitch weld it along the edge, because even the original, the overlap between the inner and outer is very small, so all of the spot welds were right on the edge of the outer lip, because the inner lip doesn't actually extend all the way into this corner. So I figure stitches are better in this case, because otherwise there's not enough space basically to drill a hole and then plug weld through. But that will be fine. Then you see I've left too much inner lip. That can all get cut off. What have we done? No, I still need to do a bit more work on this dent, but I'm probably not going to show that because it's just me trying to hit things with a hammer and hope. It is coming out. I keep coming back to it. It's improving. I need to clean this paint off as well. Anyway, enough talking. Let's get doing. Okay, so this is done. The weld is a little visible, but you know, it is under paint. It is under filler. And it's still not too bad. The issue is more that I didn't quite get it lined up, or couldn't correct the line up after it had been welded the first time, rather than the weld has greatly shrunk or popped out during the process of it welding. I also had a quick go again here, and it's probably as good as I'm going to manage, but I probably am also going to keep fiddling with it until the car goes off. which is hopefully not going to be long now, because that is the last of the body that needs doing. So the rear of the car could happily be repaired, all the accident damage repaired and painted now, but there's one more thing I want to do, and that's reskin this door. Now this is something I'm going to, if you're watching and you're work for an insurance company, I'm going to be paying for that, because obviously it doesn't touch anywhere that's accident damaged. But I've meant to do this for ages, and if the car's going to go for paint, it may as well go for the same colour paint on this door. I'm about to go and start that now, but for you it will be the next episode, because I think it makes quite a nice contained how do you skin the door episode as well, which is pretty good. Anyway, it's all the rust repair done, so thanks for sticking with me, thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, and if you're not subscribed and you got this far, please consider doing so, and I will see you next time.